Item B, 2790 Cottonwood Drive. This is a request for a use permit to allow an addition which increases the gross floor area ratio of an existing home by greater than 50% per sections 12230B1 and 12240B3 of the San Bruno Municipal Code. Laura?
Thank you and good evening. The subject site is on Cottonwood Drive at Greenwood Way. It's a 5,000 square foot lot with an existing house of 1,584 square feet of living area. They also have a partially covered carport that was built with a building permit actually soon after the original house was constructed. There is no garage on site currently. The applicant is proposing an addition to the right side of the existing home. It would remain as a one-story house. The addition would include 478 square feet of living area and a 409 square foot two-car garage. It would be a slightly substandard two-car garage, which I'll discuss a little bit more in just a minute. The total floor area is proposed at 2,471, which represents a floor area ratio of 0.49, which is beneath the floor area ratio guideline. The lot coverage is proposed to be 49%, which does require a discretionary entitlement. So the use permit tonight is for a 50% expansion in the floor area, as well as exceeding the lot coverage threshold. The house is intended to be used as a small residential care facility and needs to be wheelchair accessible for that use. Therefore, the house is proposed to remain as a one-story, and there are several ramps that are required for access to the house, both in the front and on sides and on the rear of the property. The project has been reviewed twice by the Architectural Review Committee. In February of this year, the primary recommendations from the Architectural Review Committee were to include a two-car garage. And the committee felt strongly, the applicant had originally proposed kind of a large one-car garage, and the committee preferred to see a slightly substandard two-car garage. So that's what's reflected in your plans here tonight. The Architectural Review Committee also discussed some changes to the roof line. They also recommended that the applicant minimize the ramping as much as possible and still be able to provide the required access. The project was redesigned and those recommendations were implemented, and the Architectural Review Committee heard it again at the May meeting. The same commissioners were present for the second review. There was considerable discussion at that time about the roof line of the house. And there was discussion about what the options were, what the patterns were within the neighborhood, the goals that the applicant had for the project, and quite a few different options were discussed at that time. So the applicant has come back with a design that meets the intention of that discussion there at the Architectural Review Committee meeting. The applicant has also incorporated several other small recommendations and kind of clarifications on the plan that were recommended at that meeting as well. Staff sent a courtesy notice to the neighbors before the first Architectural Review Committee meeting. We did not receive any comments. And of course, we also sent the required legal notice before the public hearing tonight. So we have not received any comments through the entire process for this project. In regards to the design, staff does find that the project conforms with the residential design guidelines. They proposed a stucco finish throughout the house, including changing the small portion on the front, which is currently shingle, to be stucco, and consistent windows and trim and other features around the entire house. Additionally, the applicant has developed a landscaping plan with the intention to help mask the ramp that's located at the front of the house. So they've given some thought and consideration into the kind of plants that would grow at that location and be drought resistant, native types of species, as well as grow to a size that it would reduce the visibility of the ramp that's at the front of the house. That landscaping plan is attached to your staff report as an exhibit. So with that, staff would recommend approval of the project. There is one condition that's a little bit outside of the ordinary, and that is because they have a public utility easement that is in the rear of their property. They have requested permission in this case because they need a concrete type of a permanent type of ramping structure and patio in order to meet the needs of the residents that will be living there. So they've requested permission to have that ramp and patio within the public utility easement area. They have received permission from PG&E, who is one of the easement holders, to do that. And so there are two conditions of approval included in your staff report that address the proper procedure for having that patio and ramp within that easement area. The other conditions are pretty generally standard for single-family addition. So staff would recommend approval of the project based on findings 1 through 7 and subject to the conditions of approval 1 to 27 in the staff report. And I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Through the chair,
Kevin?
I do believe that, I think this looks so familiar to me because I believe I sat on this at one point. But I'm not sure, I just make sure I did because I'm just looking who was president. And, you know, it's not a big deal, but it's just reminding me that I think I was present on either the second ARC review, it must have been.
Yeah, I'm sorry if that's reflected wrong in the staff report.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I'm thinking of the same project and keep my head straight in the game. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions for staff? Okay. Would you like to speak on your project? If you'd give us your name, please, and tell us a little about your project.
Yeah, my name is Roger Fuji. I'm the owner of the Cottonwood property that you see in front of you. And Laura mentioned the intention is to make this a residential care facility. And it's going to be licensed for non-ambulatory patients. And that's partially the reason why we needed to add extra square footage for the wheelchairs as well as the ramping around the sides. And we've worked extensively with Laura, with my architect Van, and getting the landscaping and working with PG&E to get that utility encroachment approved as well. So, in taking all your considerations, we try to put everything together and hopefully the plan works out for you guys. So that's it.
Thank you. Hang on. Any questions for the applicant?
Through the chair.
Please.
I just wanted to check with you.
Sure.
I see that you have a license, it'll be licensed for 6 patients.
It's going to be a licensed facility for 6 or under. It just depends on the type of clientele we're going to be receiving. If they have high nursing needs, then it may only be licensed for 4. But it will definitely be for 6 and under. Our anticipation is 6.
What keeps you from going for the 8 capacity? Is it a square footage?
Yeah, I think once you go beyond 6, then it becomes a different. You can't have it in a residential home, I believe. I'm not sure, but the regional center that we're working with only provides services for this type of home for 6 or under.
Mm-hmm. So you're licensed from Department of Social Service Community Care licensing?
It will be, if we do one of the homes, it'll be licensed under community care services. Mm-hmm. However, there's also an option that we can be licensed under the Department of Health Care Services for 6. Mm-hmm. It all depends on where we are in the stage of the building process. There's 2 different projects they're trying to offer me right now. So.
Do you have the ability or space capacity for 8? Typically 8 is your highest.
No, I don't think we would be able to provide services for 8. No.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you. Sure. Okay, we'll bring it back to the commission for conversation, discussion, and/or vote.
Through the chair. Some discussion points. We've looked at many of these over the years, and one of the things that I'm not surprised that we don't have public here or having letters, simply because these facilities do not generate traffic, huge traffic, and at one point there was such a concern and worry about the impact to a community, and I think that we're starting to realize that this is an addition and to a community rather than an obstacle. And I basically want to add those comments, and I do support the project.
Thank you. Anyone else?
If there are no other comments, I'd be happy to make a motion.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. This is the moment for public comment. I missed that. So if there's anyone in the public that would like to speak, and seeing none, we'll go ahead and close that and go ahead with the motion. Thank you, Commissioner Misher.
I move that the Planning Commission approve use permit 13-001 based on findings of facts 1 through 7 and conditions of approval 1 through 27.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion's approved. There's a 10-day appeal period. Thank you.
Through the chair.
Kevin?
I'd just like to commend the applicant as doing a real good job. You followed what staff had recommended, and it's going to be a nice project. So thank you for doing all your hard work. My
Through the
visit.
chair.
I don't have to be there
I
yet.
thought I heard the applicant ask, what does that mean, 10-day appeal process? Did I hear him say that? Do you want to explain that?
Dave, would you mind?
I'd be glad to. Through the chair, what that means is that if you have a concern or if somebody else has a concern regarding the action of the Planning Commission, they can file an appeal through our city, and that appeal would be then taken to the City Council. And that written appeal would need to be received within 10 days.
And then that there's no action that can be taken until after 10 days on your end.
Yeah, and I'd just like to echo Commissioner Chase's comments. I really like what you guys did with the design. The roof line turned out very nicely. The ramps are going to look very good, so good luck to you and congratulations. Yeah, you guys did a great job, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.